this video, I am going to compare you to a moth. I'm also very likely going to offend a certain portion of crypto traders, and I'm also very likely going to annoy a certain portion of people who like the Nissan GT-R. Okay, so we are talking about allowing yourself to become successful. So differentiating yourself from the majority of people out there who are like moths. When it comes to deciding to become an entrepreneur or to work your way up in whatever industry you are in, and this can relate to trading, it can relate to absolutely anything. It tends to start in the same way. So you have this idea, and then you have this vision of where it is you want to be. And alongside this comes this kind of explosion of productivity, enthusiasm, and determination. Usually dive into whatever it is that you have decided to do. And you make a lot of progress. You make a lot of progress because you're starting from usually a place with very little or no understanding. So there's this linear progression where you're learning so much and it feels like you're advancing very, very quickly. Now, that starts to taper off. It doesn't matter who you are. Once you start to learn the basics, it becomes more difficult, and it can be very, very difficult to then start making the progression into the more advanced aspects of whatever it is that you are doing. And this is when we come to the moths. Most people have this initial linear progression, and they have this idea of where it is they want to get to. And even if they tell themselves they don't, they kind of imagine their journey like something that you would see on Facebook or Twitter. So when you see the picture of what success looks like and what people think success is, and one of them is the linear progression, and then the reality has the setbacks and, you know, the very difficult periods and the periods where the guy feels like giving up. First of all, I have no idea how to edit this light bulb to make it illuminate. So let's just pretend that it's illuminated. For most people, they have this initial linear progression, and then they start to hit the difficulties. Then things start to slow down, and they're like the moth. When they hit this point, it's like hitting into the glass of the bulb, and they glance off. And usually they'll come round for another attempt. But when they're coming around for another attempt, they've changed things. So they've kind of thrown that idea to the side and they've adjusted it. Or they're doing something completely different and they come back again. Linear progression, everything's going fantastically, I'm working towards success. And they hit the bulb and they glance off once again. So let's use a very quick example. And we're going to talk about crypto traders. Now, first thing, I am not talking bad about crypto. I need to get that in there because crypto, if you talk negatively about it, there tends to be this huge wave of people that come out of the woodwork like these attack ninjas, and they just jump all over you. It's kind of like, if you're into cars, the Nissan GT-R of the car world. Nissan GT-R, if you dare talk negatively about it, all the fanboys come flying in and they want to attack you. So when it comes to crypto, the idea behind it is absolutely fantastic, in my opinion. It's giving power back to the individual. It's taking the power away from things like governments, banks, and big institutions. It's a great idea. However, most people that surged towards crypto, and still to an extent, didn't come because of those ideologies. Why do you think they came? They came because there was the promises from the gurus and from the articles that Bitcoin's going up to 100,000 and it's going to happen this year. It's going to hit 1 million, and everyone comes flooding in. And this is the moths. They're coming in. They have the idea, they know what they want to do. They start learning, they start making the progression, They hit the difficulties, which in this case was the crypto crash, or not necessarily. It could also just be that when they started trying to trade, they started having losses and setbacks, and they found out it's bloody difficult to make money as a trader. They came in, they glanced off. Then they circle round to a new idea. And this happens over and over and over again with people. It's not only in business. Think about something you've tried to learn recently or something that you wanted to do. Let's say it was a foreign language. You're excited. You're picturing yourself talking this foreign language fluently. If it's Spanish, we're in Spain and we're conversing with the waiter. We're ordering and we're joking and we're laughing with them. We learn a lot initially because it's all new to us. We can learn basic words, basic phrases. It feels like we're really advancing, but then it starts to get more difficult. Once you've learned the basics, moving yourself on to the next stage, so from a beginner to then an intermediate to then an expert, is a lot more difficult. And what happens for a lot of people? They're the moth. They hit it and they glance off and they discard it, or they change their approach. Now when it comes to trading, that could be you initially learn trading, you have your trading plan. Usually I would say it's 3 to 6 months that this process of being the moth lasts for. So 3 to 6 months of linear progression, and then you glance off and then it comes crashing down. After that period, you may decide, it's just the trading plan. It's a lot of crap. It's a con. I'm going to change it. I'm going to do something different. And then it happens again. And you think, oh, it's just this market. It's the crypto market. I'm going to move into a different market. And then it's the time frame. And then it's the broker. And eventually, you just throw it to the side and you move on to something else. What you have to understand is that 90% of the world are the moth. They make the initial movements. They start to make the progress, but as soon as they hit one of those difficult periods, as soon as things start to level out, they glance off and they start again. Now, by becoming more aware of this, you can separate yourself from the herd. If you want to be successful, you have to understand that you are going to have these setbacks. And I know that sounds really bloody obvious. You're probably thinking to yourself, you know what, I already know this. But for most people, even though they know it, when it happens, they give up, or they throw everything they were doing to one side because they think it doesn't work. Another example would be, the surge of people that went to like Facebook advertising for dropshipping, right? Same idea. It's usually, funnily enough, tied up with fast cash. They rush in, they learn lots about Facebook ads, they learn about A/B testing, they learn about finding products with their dropshipping, and then they throw themselves into it and they start losing money. Because it's not that easy. They may try it for a few months and then they throw it to one side. They're the moth glancing off of the glass. This can be a cyclical process. It can literally be something that you do over and over and over again in your life until you give up completely, until you just accept whatever it is that you don't want to be doing, working your 9 to 5 or whatever. You have to be willing to push through. You have to be willing to meet the resistance, understand that it's coming, and just set your shoulders, set your feet, and start pushing back against it, because there are always going to be setbacks. If you want to differentiate yourself from the 90% of people out there, probably even higher, you have to be willing to do what they are not willing to do. And they are not willing to keep going. They're not willing to accept that to become an expert at something, you have to go through the setbacks. The linear progression is only at the beginning, and it lulls you in. It gives you this false promise. This is going to be easy. I can do this. It's not going to take me long. There's not going to be hardships. That's not the reality of life for most people. There are, I'm sure, certain people out there who get lucky and strike it rich quick. But for the rest of us, we have to be willing to work. The whole point of the channel and the videos that I do are to try and encourage and hopefully give some sort of advice that you guys can use and that is kind of actionable. I want you to get to where you want to go. I don't care if it's in the trading industry, I don't care if it's in your own business, or if it's wherever you work currently. To do that, you have to be willing to address what other people are doing, the majority of people, and understand that they're doing it wrong. Most people are doing it wrong. They're looking for the easy roads, they're looking to give up, they're looking for excuses to drop things so they can go back into their comfort zone where things are easier. It might not be more enjoyable, it might not be where they want to be, they might hate it, but it is easier. And that is what most people want. You have to be willing to press through. You have to be willing to come to the bulb, and keep pushing against the glass. And then when you do, you can reach the fiery center, which is the success, which will burn you up with stress and sleepless nights and God knows what else. Of course, I am joking. I'm not joking. Okay, guys, so that's everything for this video. As always, I hope it was helpful. Hopefully, I haven't offended too many crypto traders. As I mentioned, that is not my intention. Hopefully, I didn't offend GTR fans. Well, maybe the GTR fans, because I've actually driven a GTR quite a few times, and I don't think it's all that it's cracked up to be. Okay, guys, I am James Orr, and thank you.